so excited to be working on a game that I'm so excited to be working on a game that was such a so excited to be working on a game that was such a, well, game changer. Now, the packet in front of you has our focus group research. Inside, you'll find a breakdown, including key word association with the brand. The top two being originality and fresh, which I think are great things to keep in mind as you begin working on Matrix 4.
The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not.
What makes it different? I want us up in their graces, switching their snapped up light on.
Just doing your job is never make you rich. It's just going to be taxed into infinity, and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. Put yourself in a position where you're making enough money.
While most are hungry after their night shift, you're hungry for something else. To learn tech.
So you need to be aware of what's happening around you, and you need to create for yourself a social network of people who understand that and are doing their best to combat that. That is the most basic imperative of the masculine frame, which has been destroyed in real time. They are trying to convince you that you should act how you feel. You should show more of your feelings. If you feel this way, you should show it. If you want to cry, cry. Look, I have no problem with guys crying. What I'm saying is the reason they're trying to bring out emotionality in you is most of the time you don't feel like doing the things you're supposed to do. But the true masculine frame throughout history was doing the things they didn't want to do, but they knew they had to do because they had honor and duty. When you remove self-control from men, not only do you get emasculated weak men, but what you'll also get is very dangerous men. There are actually far less genuinely high-value men than there are pretty girls. You can go to any club in any country in the world. I've been to 72 countries. You can go to any club in any country in the world and see pretty girls. You're going to find a young, in shape, smart, tall, intelligent, rich man. It's extremely difficult to find. And that man has options. He has more options than a beautiful girl. And I'll tell you something. There's always been a large proportion of men in the world who made the choice to stay where they are. And life for them wasn't that bad. But as we reach the future and as time goes on, you notice now, people who don't chase having a masculine network, they're not going to be excellent upon themselves, and they're not going to be plugged into a serious circle of achievers. Their life's going to become terrible. You could just be a normal dude. Tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do in my day because I have duty to myself. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but you know, it's hard. Of course it is, it's supposed to be. And if you're not cut out for it, then fuck off and live a normal existence and die. Sit there, letting other men enjoy the spoils of being a man, and fucking die. If that's what you want to do, is just sit there and exist, and then fade into history unremembered. That's your decision. If you want to level up your character, then you need to get out here and do it. You need to be around brave men. You need to get some balls. You need to get your network together. You need to be paying attention, listen to the truth, humble yourself, stop sitting there with an ego. That's the game. But I made myself this way. I wasn't born this way. I absolutely and utterly made myself this way. And any single one of you men out here can do the same thing. I was always looking for, I wouldn't say happiness or contentment, but I was always looking to try and break out of the 9 to 5, just the normal monotony of day-to-day life. I think that men have a very unique life path, and it's very difficult to try and achieve status as a man. It's not easy to stand out from the crowd. And even what women expect of an important man, you need to be smart, charismatic, intelligent, strong, have a nice car, nice apartment, good networking character, right? Once you have all the unlimited money, you can then start ticking all the stats boxes. Knowledge. When guys say to me, okay, well, how do I make women respect me? Well, I say, well, how do you respect yourself?
That's the first thing. No one's gonna respect you if you don't respect yourself. Do other men respect you? Like, how do you act in a way that commands respect from anybody? If I say, look, if you focus on yourself and make yourself be who you are, being a high value male, women will detect it and it won't be so difficult for you.
You have to respect yourself first, and how does a woman respect a man? When she sees that he respects himself and other men respect him. You need to understand that the world you live in as a man, in my personal view, is very purposefully constructed. It's been constructed in a way to destroy your masculine power. And the future of the world, especially in the West, is a further encroachment on your sovereign ability, your sovereign thoughts, your base instincts, the things that make you happy. Absolutely nobody is concerned with male happiness on any level. They don't want you to be happy, they want you to be miserable. A miserable slave in a tax bracket. And you have to understand this. And the only way you can combat against it is to take significant action. You have to take significant action. You have to use the internet. It's the tool they're using, the internet, it's the tool they're using to brainwash the masses. You need to combat it and use their own tool against them to seek out the kind of information, knowledge, and friends that you need to have around you. You are going to be the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So that, if everyone understands that...
Cannot compete with the men who do not say that. And it is player versus player. The man who goes to the gym every single day, regardless of how he feels, will always beat the man that goes to the gym and feels like going to the gym. And it's player versus player.
A good man controls himself. I have absolute self-control. Emotional control is absolutely and utterly important as a man. You need to understand as a man, there are certain principles under which you act, regardless of how you feel.
Bam.
I can wake up in a terrible mood.
Yes.
I can wake up sad. I can ache. I can have a busy day, stressed, etc. I will complete the same tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do in my day because I have duty to myself. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree.
In the movie The Matrix, your body heat is being salvaged, and to keep your mind occupied, you're living inside of a false reality, computer generated. The reason I think we live in a Matrix now is because I think the same thing is happening. Perhaps it's not our body heat, perhaps it's our work, our ideas, but they're being salvaged, and the reality they've given us to occupy our brains is false. We don't live in the real world. We are living in a reality where we're told stories and narratives that aren't true, where they try very hard to distract us with garbage. Rihanna. I have nothing against Rihanna. Like, I don't know her. But when I see a concert and I see hundreds of thousands of peons standing amongst
Peons?
Peons.
What are they?
Peons is people who are concerts.
Right.
Peon means peasant. Standing at, because
This is an education in language.
no, but they are peasants because they're acting in a peasant way. They're acting like peasants. Hundreds of thousands of people in a crowd looking up at somebody like they're God, jumping up and down for hours on end. You're a peasant. You're a peasant. And your life's shit, and you have no achievements, no money, you're depressed, but you're distracted. They've distracted you with this idol, whoever it happens to be. Put them there, and the peasant's like, yeah. And then they go home, and they're told something by the news. Let's make up a completely false scenario. Be afraid of the common cold. Okay, and then anyone who comes back and says, why are we afraid of the common cold? They delete their point of view. They shut them up to create a false reality. So people are living a life where they're working a job, they're being enslaved by the machines for their tasks, but their mind is distracted by garbage and only fed a fake story, and they're living inside of a computer-generated simulation. They're living inside of a world that is not real. They don't live in a real world. A lot of people live inside of the Matrix completely, especially the people who dislike it. Key to beginning to escape. So we had Hustlers University. They attacked it when they attacked the Matrix. So now we've started our own banks. Banking license. Data center.
Was that because it all got taken off you when you were cancelled?
It's because they were attacking.
Right.
So we built all the infrastructure ourselves.
So you're decentralized.
So it can't be attacked anymore. And that's the real world. We can teach people how to make money. And the reason I teach people how to make money is because money is stage one to escaping the Matrix. You can't think for yourself and talk the things you believe if you need that wage and that person tells you to shut up. You can't, the reason everyone wore the mask is because they had to pay the mortgage.
Or their wife told them to.
Or their wife told them to. That's right, yeah. So if you need breadcrumbs and you're a starving man, you can't really talk to the guy who has all the bread and tell him to get fucked. Right? So the first thing you do when someone says to me, I want to escape the matrix, I think for myself is, okay, then you need to be prepared financially. You need money to go to war. So the first thing I do is I teach anybody who's a fan of mine to make as much money as possible. And I don't do that to make money. In fact, the school is ridiculously cheap. It's so cheap, it's less than a lunch. You can find out more on CobraTate.com. But the reason I do it is
What was the link again?
CobraTate.com.
Right.
But anybody who is a fan of mine, I want those people to be as wealthy as possible because they agree with my mindset. And I want to equip my soldiers. I don't want everyone who agrees with me to be an unimportant brokey. I want the people who agree with me to be influential and rich. And I want them to be able to stand up and talk and fight for themselves. So this is the reason I teach people how to make money, because I know anybody who resonates with my message, the wealthier they get, the better it's going to be for me. So I wouldn't consider it philanthropic. I have an agenda, but my agenda is find anybody who agrees with me and give them as much money as possible. So that's the real world, because that's stage one. You're asking how to escape. Stage one is you need money. I've tried very hard to help people with no money, but there's just too many blocks in the way. You can't put that on social media. You can't afford to off work. You can't afford your man. You can't fight. You can't fight. You need bullets in your gun. Then rich it's all part, right? Because as you climb, there are different hands